Okay, this is how you are going to roll out a slab of clay if you do not have a rolling pin and you do not have access to the slab roller in the ceramics classroom. You have two wooden dowel rods that are round, and you have a plastic PVC pipe in your take-home kit. You're going to want to make sure you put newspaper down or a large piece of cardboard down before you begin to roll, or your clay will stick to the tabletop surface in your home, because the tabletop surface in your home most likely isn't the same surface as the tables in our classroom. So make sure you have newspaper down first. I'm taking the PVC, and I do this with my rolling pins too. I just kind of start to pack the clay down, move around, pack it down with some pressure, and I'm always picking up my clay and moving it so it's not getting stuck. Sometimes your newspaper will stick a little bit. You just have to kind of peel it off and put the clay back down. I'm going to start to roll out in multiple directions. I don't have the dowel rods placed yet because the clay is still really thick, probably close to an inch, and the dowel rods are a quarter of an inch, so I know I can thin this out before I use my dowel rods. So we're at about half an inch. Take your dowel rods and place them around your clay so they're parallel. You want to give yourself some space between the dowel rod and the clay. And then you're going to use the rolling pin and you're going to start to roll. Right now, the clay is thicker than the dowel rods are tall. So, as I'm rolling, the PVC pipe is not touching the dowel rods. The goal here is to keep thinning out the clay. I'm going to get rid of some air bubbles here. If this happens, just poke them with your pin tool. Pop them. You're going to keep rolling and thinning out this clay until your PVC pipe rolling pin actually touches the dowel rods from one end to the other. So it'll roll along it kind of like wheels on a track. So I'm just going to keep rolling and flattening out. Pick it up and flip it. Make sure there's some space between the dowel rods and my slab of clay. Keep rolling. I know it's difficult to see from this angle, but my PVC pipe is not touching the dowel rods yet. That means my clay is still too thick. So it takes a little bit longer than using a slab roller. Okay, once the clay is the correct thinness and your PVC pipe has touched the dowel rods all the way across as you're rolling, you're going to take your wooden rib and you're going to start to smooth out the clay. So I'm using the flat edge. See how thin that is? Nice and even. I'm using the flat edge of the wooden rib and I'm dragging that across the surface. This compresses the slab the same way a slab roller would do if you were in class. This is super important. You must compress.